Order 66, the command that initiated the purge of the Jedi Order, executed by Chancellor Palpatine, the Sith Lord Darth Sidious. The Jedi Council were caught off guard and unprepared, which resulted in their complete destruction. But what if the Jedi Council prepared for Order 66? Before we continue, make sure to check out the voice actors, their links will be in the description. Let's start the story towards the end of the Clone War, when Fives returns to Coruscant. Fives was the clone that discovered Order 66 and almost leaked it to Anakin and Rex, but was killed before he could reveal the truth. In this story, we'll change the events of Fives' death. Fives would not die as quickly, and would have time to explain what he discovered in more detail to Anakin and Rex. He told them about the inhibitor chips, but now tells them more. Fives tells them that the Chancellor himself told him that he was right about the inhibitor chips, and how they could be used to make the clones do anything against their will, even kill the Jedi, and that's what the Chancellor has planned to do. Anakin and Rex were trying to process everything Fives was saying, initially not believing any of it to be true, but before they could take Fives in for more questioning, the Coruscant Guard rushed in and killed him on Palpatine's orders, and they could never question him on what he was saying. But he had told them enough for Anakin and Rex to realize the inhibitor chips and potentially Palpatine were a problem. They both meet with the council the following day to discuss what Fives told them. Initially, a few of the members were skeptical because the Chancellor explained to them that it was parasites that caused Fives and Tups's inhibitor chips to decay and fail, causing their outbursts. But Rex and Anakin implore the Jedi to think deeper. That what if Fives is saying is true, then the Chancellor is covering up something huge, and the consequences of ignoring this is too dire.
You must think deeper, Jedi. My brother Fives wasn't crazy. He revealed something significant.
Master Yoda, is it not something worth investigating?
Together the council begins discussing things.
What do we know about the inhibitor chips? What exactly is it that they do?
We've been told they control the clone's aggression, but maybe we've been deceived.
What if Fives was right? What if the inhibitor chips can force the clones to do anything against their will?
But who would have the authority to do this? Surely only the Chancellor?
Means the Kaminoans involved. They must be.
You think the Kaminoans are conspiring with the Chancellor?
No, it doesn't need to be the Chancellor, but someone in his office. Someone high up in the Republic.
If this is true, then the Jedi are in serious trouble. Could Darth Sidious be behind all of this?
Very well he may be. Behind the inhibitor chips and the purge of the Jedi. A result of the Sith. Likely it is.
Then we must tread carefully in our investigation. One wrong step, and we could see the beginning of the purge.
They continue discussing, but come to the conclusion that they must investigate the supposed purge of the Jedi Order that Fives uncovered, which no doubt involves the Sith. But they must approach this in a smart way. If they blindly accuse the Chancellor or his office of treachery against the Jedi, they might activate the Order against the Jedi and begin the purge before they can do anything. They set a plan in motion and begin laying the foundations of their preparation. They get the blueprint schematics for the clones plus the inhibitor chips and have their Jedi scientists analyze them completely. They begin discussing with high-level senators whom they trust, Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, and other members of the delegation of 2000, to inform them of their suspicions regarding individuals in the Chancellor's office, and tell them everything they know about the inhibitor chips. This was intriguing to them, not just because of the supposed Jedi purge, but also because the clones could be used to take over the Senate. But their main preparation involves setting up a secret facility, hidden inside the Jedi Temple Hangar Bay, where all clones come to and from after their respective missions. They start by having the clone commanders and captains of each battalion remove their inhibitor chips. They started testing removing the inhibitor chips and found no change in the clones' observed behavior, which concluded to the Jedi Council that the inhibitor chips did not control aggression, but rather something more sinister that the Kaminoans lied about and were trying to cover up. Because they were only removing the commanders and captains' inhibitor chips, they went unnoticed. They informed the commanders and captains about the reasoning behind removing their chips to help strengthen their loyalty to the Jedi, but also prepared them for the moment where they might have to turn on their brothers. They then begin disseminating information about the inhibitor chips down the Jedi Order, first beginning with the Masters and then the Knights. It's crucial that the members of the Order know so they can individually prepare and work alongside their clone commanders and captains in their battalion. However, they didn't tell the Padawans and younglings, as they believed they didn't need the extra stress during their training. These preparations go on for weeks, and the council is satisfied with the process they're making. During this time, Anakin's trust in Palpatine is shaken. Palpatine's a close friend and mentor, and fears that he's involved in the plot against the Jedi. But he also fears that Palpatine is being forced to act against his will, that he's being threatened by someone, maybe the Sith. At the next council meeting, Anakin comes in to discuss his opinion.
Council, I believe there's a chance that Palpatine is innocent, but rather might be in danger. The Sith could very well be threatening him to comply with their plans and not giving him a choice.
Obi-Wan speaks up next.
That may be true, Anakin, but I think back to what Dooku told me at the beginning of the Clone War, that Sith Lord Darth Sidious is in control of the Republic. I think there's no doubt that Darth Sidious is here right now on Coruscant and is part of Palpatine's close office or bureaucracy. Whether or not Palpatine knows of his identity is uncertain, but it doesn't disregard the fact that the Sith has been under our noses this entire time.
Recently, Obi-Wan and Anakin went on a mission to discover Jedi Master Sifo Dyas' body, where they discovered that Darth Tyrannus, aka Count Dooku, helped Dyas commission the clone army for the Republic.
Created an army for us, our enemies did.
All the pieces are finally coming together. The public opinion of the Jedi is the lowest it's ever been. The Sith engineered the conflict for this very reason, to convince the public and Senate to accept the Jedi's purge in all the chaos from the war. They've successfully changed public opinion of us as the guardians of peace to the enemies of it.
How did we let this happen?
Blind to the plans of the Sith we were, but opened our eyes have we. The final stage of the Sith's plan. Upon us it is.
Senator Organa walks in to further the discussion.
Senator Organa, we wanted to discuss something with you. We don't believe that the clones would participate in the purge just because they were told to. But as you know, we believe their inhibitor chips would force them to. But there must be an order in which they receive to activate the purge. An order they would recognize. And we wanted to know if you had any ideas of what that could be.
Organa ponders on the question deeply and comes up with an answer. Organa is part of the Republic Security Council and has access to information about the clones that regular senators do not. He tells them about the 150 contingency orders that were to be carried out by the clone army in various circumstances. He tells them about a few of the orders he knows, but admits he hasn't read them and is unfamiliar to most of them. He had no need to know them in detail in the past and could have sought them out if necessary.
This could be the key. The contingency orders may be ingrained into the clones' inhibitor chips.
Organa tells them that he'll get a transcript of the orders and returns an hour later with exactly what they were looking for. Together they go through the contingency orders one by one until they reach what they're looking for, Order 66, and Windu reads it out.
In the event of Jedi officers acting against the interests of the Republic, and after receiving specific orders verified as coming directly from the Supreme Chancellor, Grand Army of the Republic commanders will remove those officers by lethal force, and command the Grand Army of the Republic will revert to the Supreme Chancellor until a new command structure is established.
But what they find most significant about this order is that it can only be executed by the Chancellor himself, and they all now seriously consider that Palpatine himself might be Darth Sidious. This is when the Jedi Council now begin their most important measures. They now know in and out how the purge will happen. The Chancellor will execute Order 66 to the entire clone army, and because of their inhibitor chips, they will carry out the order and turn on the Jedi. They need to block this connection, and the Jedi scientists and engineers work on this immediately. They even employ some of the smartest scientists around the galaxy to help them with this, and in time, they cracked the code. They worked day and night, harnessed many inhibitor chips, and finally, made a radio frequency emitting device that, when activated, can manipulate the chip inside the clones to inactivate it and cause rapid decay. This was significant. The Jedi could now turn off the inhibitor chips whenever they wanted. Every Jedi Knight and clone commander was geared with one of these emitters, ready for when the time came. They also set up many of the radio frequency emitters inside the Jedi Temple, as they knew it would be a hotspot for Order 66. They decided not to activate them now, because Darth Sidious would no doubt realize what they have done and simply change his plans. They need to allow Order 66 to happen for a very short period of time to draw out the Sith Lord and end the Sith once and for all. The endgame is near. Everyone on the council can sense it, and they must take their next steps cautiously. All of this news has hurt Anakin. Palpatine, a man he considered a close friend and mentor, might actually be the villain. But he doesn't fully believe it, and he arrogantly believes he can discover the truth behind all of this and prove Palpatine's innocence by himself. He can't be the Sith Lord the Jedi think he is, and he takes it upon himself to prove his innocence. To do this, Anakin decides the best way is to confront the man himself and learn the truth. Anakin goes to Palpatine's office and reveals everything to him that the Jedi have discovered. Anakin firmly believes in his ignorant mind that Palpatine is innocent, and he's eager to prove this. He begins by telling him what they know, thinking he'll be able to deduce Palpatine's response and allow him to open up about everything. However, Anakin didn't reveal the fact that the Council have produced a device that could disrupt the inhibitor chips inside the clones' brains, as even Anakin feared the Sith Lord might be listening in on their conversation, or even hiding in the shadows. Palpatine was shocked to hear this from Anakin, although he didn't show it. Little did he know, the Jedi had discovered the secrets of his grand plan behind his back, but he quickly gets into character.
Thank you for bringing this to my attention, Anakin. You are more right than you know. I need your help.
I knew it. I knew you couldn't be the Sith Lord. They're manipulating you, aren't they?
It pains me to admit, Anakin, but yes, they are. The Council is right about everything. I'm being controlled by the Sith.
Why? What do they have over you?
Anakin, I've known you for a long time, but nonetheless, I like to keep my private life just that, private. But the Sith are relentless. They've discovered my weakness, the person I care about the most, and they have her hostage.
I'll help as much as I can, Palpatine. I won't let the Sith kill her.
You mustn't tell the Jedi Council. It will only put her in danger. Please, Anakin, promise me you can help me in other ways.
Anakin agrees to not tell the Council, but he is determined to help his friend. Anakin leaves, and Palpatine thinks deeply on this. The Jedi have discovered his plans that he worked so hard to keep hidden, but after pondering on this thought, he determines it to not matter. He believes they don't have the ability to stop Order 66, but he'll have to bring forward his endgame if he's to ensure his victory. But there's one thing he might have to give up, his prized possession, Anakin Skywalker, as his manipulation is not near its completion, and he needs more time. But if there's one thing Palpatine's good at, it's adapting. Weeks more preparation goes on, until the Council decides they are ready. They're in a race against time, and they know each day they wait is a day closer to Order 66 could be activated. They gather the entire Council on Coruscant, key clones such as Rex and Cody, as well as members of the delegation of 2000 to go to Palpatine's office. Anakin wanted to come desperately, but the Council ordered him to stay, that he was too close to Palpatine, that his personal feelings might get in the way of what has to be done. They storm into Palpatine's office, but the Chancellor simply sits at his desk with a stoic look on his face, as he knew they were coming. He has the Coruscant Guard waiting nearby, as well as tens of Magna Guards, who will assist him in taking out the entire Jedi Council, here and now. This battle will be legendary, and will finalize everything. As they're walking in, Palpatine goes to send out a video message of him executing Order 66 to the entire clone army. But as he sends this, the message is blocked. The communication out of his office was severed. Panic starts to take over, but he remains calm in the face of the adapting enemy.
What is the meaning of this, Jedi?
In the name of the Galactic Senate of the Republic, you're under arrest, Chancellor.
Palpatine expected this, but he also expected Order 66 to be activated by now.
What is this nonsense? Let me summon my Samada immediately.
Palpatine didn't actually need to do this, but he sent it to test his communication system once again, but this time it also failed.
Blocked your communication we have, Chancellor. A prevention measure this is.
Palpatine's anger grows as he looks over at Captain Rex, who's holding the device, disrupting his communications. Palpatine has no choice. In the face of the entire Jedi Council, some clones, Organa and other members of the Security Council, reveals himself as a Sith Lord by using the Force to pull Rex's communication blocking device towards him and destroys it with a quick blast of lightning. The Jedi ignite their lightsabers in response, but Palpatine uses the Force to pull in the Magna Guards, which take the attention of half of the Council. Palpatine ignites his lightsaber and trades blows briefly with the other half of the Council until he senses it through the Force. his prized pupil, Anakin Skywalker, was only seconds away. Anakin had defied the Council's orders and decided to come regardless. Palpatine deignites his lightsaber and pushes the Jedi back with the Force right before Anakin enters. Anakin breaks open the door to see the picture unfold before him. He sees half the Council engaging the Magna Guards, but the other half with their lightsabers drawn, advancing towards a defenseless and helpless looking Palpatine.
Help me, Anakin! The Jedi are taking over!
Anakin rushes in between Palpatine and the Jedi.
What are you doing? Palpatine is not the enemy. He's being controlled.
Step aside, Skywalker. Palpatine is the Sith Lord. We all saw it.
You're wrong. I can prove it.
But Windu doesn't listen and goes to swing down his blade on the defenseless Palpatine and end the Sith Lord. But Anakin acts in a flash, ignites his own blade to block Windu. Palpatine smirks. This gave him the perfect amount of time. He used the Force to return to his computer and resend the recording of him executing Order 66 around the entire galaxy to begin the purge of the Jedi Order. The Coruscant Guard rush in and begin shooting at the Jedi. Windu and Palpatine lock blades briefly, but Palpatine uses the chaos to break his office window and escape. Anakin helps to fight back against the Coruscant Guard and can't believe he was wrong about everything. He was tricked. Palpatine all this time has been a Sith Lord. Palpatine travels to the Jedi Temple, where he leads the 501st and begins the purge. Palpatine begins ruthlessly cutting down the Jedi, left, right and center, as he rides in all the death, which only increases his power. But this didn't last for long. He goes to advance deeper into the temple foyer, where at the same time, the Council successfully defeat the Magna Guards and Coruscant Guard, and activated all of the radio frequency emitters inside the Jedi Temple. The signal echoed throughout the Jedi Temple, and one by one, the inhibitor chips of the clones began to decay, and after a mere 30 seconds, the clones were no longer Palpatine's slaves and stopped executing Order 66. They all looked around, confused at what they had done or were doing. Palpatine, on the other hand, was overcome with sheer panic as hundreds of Jedi standing around him with the clones no longer on his side. He dashes for the exit, but is swiftly blocked as the Jedi advance towards him. The clones begin to help the Jedi as they see Palpatine as a Sith Lord. Palpatine stands his ground for a while as his power far exceeds most masters in the Jedi Order. But as soon as the Jedi Council arrived, Palpatine arrived at his own fate. He was swiftly disarmed, placed in handcuffs, and arrested. Similar events happened around the galaxy, with Jedi and clone commanders activating their devices after they felt Order 66 activated through the Force. Although there were some casualties, most Jedi around the galaxy were able to do this and successfully survive the purge. Order 66 is over, and Palpatine has been captured and taken to the Jedi's prison. In the meantime, as soon as Palpatine revealed himself as the Sith Lord, Organa and lead members of the delegation of 2000 meet with the rest of the Senate, where Organa explained everything the Jedi and himself had learned. Of the clones' inhibitor chips, Palpatine's involvement, him being a Sith Lord, and controlling both sides of the war in his ultimate plan of using the inhibitor chips to purge the Jedi Order and establish his own galactic empire. Shock encompassed the Senate. Palpatine was seen as a strong and loyal leader, and this news surprised the majority. Many struggled to believe these claims, and Organa knew it was too much to push for Palpatine's arrest, but managed to push for his temporary step down as Chancellor until the allegations could be investigated further. Palpatine had also served far longer than his term as Chancellor allowed, which helped. The Senate had a vote, and Palpatine was stripped of his title as Chancellor, and therefore all of his commands, including Order 65, was stopped, with the activation of Order 65 by the Security Council. In the aftermath of Palpatine's arrest, the Jedi took command of the war effort and led the clones against the Separatists. Without Palpatine manipulating both sides, the Republic was able to tip the balance in their favor and begin overwhelming the Separatist forces. Palpatine's arrest surprised Dooku, who believed his master to be invincible, and their plans assured. But in his mind, he always had a backup plan. He would take over the mantle as Dark Lord of the Sith and lead the galaxy down the path he saw fit, defeat the Republic with force, and turn the Confederacy of Independent Systems, led by himself, into their galactic empire. But his efforts would be in vain, as after months of war, the Separatists would eventually be defeated, with Dooku being slain by Anakin's blade and Grievous by Obi-Wan. Surrender treaties and terms were signed, and the Republic once again had control over the galaxy. The Jedi aided the Security Council in the transitory period until the new Chancellor, Mon Mothma, was elected and vowed to lead the Republic into a new era of peace and prosperity it had not seen in 1,000 years. Meanwhile, shortly after the war, Ahsoka rejoined the Order and gets promoted to the rank of Jedi Knight, and Anakin became a Jedi Master and is appointed a seat on the Council, the rank he always wanted the most, although he made a significant mistake protecting Palpatine and allowed Order 66 to be executed. He bounced back and fought hard during the rest of the war, stayed true to his Jedi nature, and helped ensure galactic peace. In the background, Padme would become pregnant, and she would successfully give birth to the twin babies, Luke and Leia. Because of Palpatine's arrest, he wouldn't have any nightmares of Padme in childbirth, and they would start the family they always dreamed of. A statue of Fives was erected outside the Jedi Temple, as without him, the Jedi Order would never have survived. He went against all odds when no one believed him, and exposed the Chancellor's tyranny for everyone to see. He became a symbol to everyone. A mere clone, bred in a lab, could alter the events of the entire galaxy. He will be remembered and missed by those close to him. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to watch What If Fives expose Order 66 to the Council, and What If Anakin never turned to the dark side animation. Please like and subscribe. I really enjoy reading and replying to all your comments. Leave your suggestions below for new video ideas. A huge thanks again to the voice actors, and I'll see you all next time.